Aloha, everyone. I'm Malika Dudley for Maui Now, and today we are talking with Kai Lenny. He's a professional athlete, and I call him that because I can't pick just one thing. He does everything: big wave riding, windsurfing, stand up, hydrofoiling. I mean, the list goes on and on and on.
Yeah, I just like to do everything because why not?
That's the answer. Why not?
Yeah,
I
why
love
not?
it. I love it. Live life to the fullest, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I have growing up here on Maui and just living here, we have the best conditions on the planet for everything. Like, if there's one place I want to get stuck in the world and would be okay with it, it's obviously Maui because I can do all my favorite sports pretty much on a daily basis. Like just today up at Jaws, I did 4 sports today. I tow surfed, I windsurfed, I kited, and then I paddle surfed into some really big waves, and so fun.
That's actually what I want to talk about, okay? First things first, right? Today was a big swell. It didn't come till a little later than when people thought, but it got big. And tell us how, like, what goes through your head and how do you prepare for a day at Jaws? Take us from the morning through the day kind of thing.
Well, it's funny because nowadays we have forecasting, and almost a week and a half out, you could pretty much tell that something's brewing in the northern Pacific, and it's going to send some very, very large waves. And so it's almost the worst part is the countdown to the swell because everyone's hyping the swell, and it's going to be, apocalyptic. It's going to be ginormous, whatever word you want to use for it. But they hype it up. And so I get so nervous because it's like, all right, well, I'm going to this one of the best big waves on the planet, most powerful big wave on the planet. And, anything can happen. Flip a switch. You can have the best barrel of your life, or you can get absolutely just destroyed, and it's very uncomfortable when you do. But I guess the exciting part about surfing Jaws and the preparation for it is, once you hold all those nerves in and you just kind of sit on them and you don't let them come out and get the best of you, which would mean I'm not going to go out there because I'm not feeling it. Just going out there and all of a sudden you get out into the lineup and everything is connecting and the ocean is, sending these really big waves towards you, and you just are like, all right, well, I made it to this point and I feel great. All the nerves are gone. I'm feeling in my comfortable zone, and you ask the same question every day is like, why was I so nervous? Because I enjoy it so much when I'm out there. But I don't know, I guess it's just self-preservation. Your body has that natural instinct to want to survive, and going out to Jaws is something that I don't think it really wants to do. I think it's more of a, maybe it's part of your soul that wants to do it. Your mind is telling it to do, but it's like, no, I don't want to go out there. I could die.
I bet people come up to you all the time and go, why do you do this? And, some people might think it's an ego thing, but if you've ever met Kai, it's not an ego thing. What is it for you?
It's funny because riding big waves, there's no pure form that I've ever experienced to connecting with the ocean, because you're caught up in this great act of, I don't know, ferocity, just absolute beauty, and it's like so inspiring and so crazy that I could just watch big waves all day. But to be a part of it and to connect with it, and like today I got my best barrel I've ever gotten. I didn't even make it, but it was the biggest barrel of my entire life. And if I could, just implant my vision into your head of what I saw, I mean, there's nothing on this planet that I can compare it to. It was absolutely just mind blowing. And those moments are really what just bring you out there. And I think, anybody that has an opportunity to ride one of those waves and make it and kick out will understand exactly what I'm saying. But until you do it, you don't understand. But I think the difference with the kids and everyone that's coming up in big wave surfing, especially from Maui, is that you grew up watching the place. Mm-hmm. And so as a kid, your imagination is just endless. It's free. There's no restrictions to what you can think. Your mind is still an open book, and I think as a kid you can imagine what it might be like. Mm-hmm. And that in itself gets you excited enough to want to go grab a big gun or a towboard or a windsurfboard and go get a piece of it. And it doesn't happen that often, which is great because it makes those days that much more special. Like, mm-hmm. I'll do 8 to 9 hours out in the water, sun up to sundown, as long as I can, because it doesn't happen. And I feel like if I miss one wave, I'm almost like bummed. Because it's like, I had this opportunity and now I have to wait a month. But then at the end of it, you're just so drained out. After tomorrow, all day session again, you just feel the energy is just sucked right out of you because it takes so much control mentally and physically to just keep everything in tune. And, It's your own survival instinct. I've never gone to war, but I can imagine, when you're sitting out in the ocean and, a 60-foot wave is headed towards you, and it's like, I would imagine troops marching towards you on the battle line. It's just so, so scary. But that's what happened today, too. So it's another story.
How do you choose which craft to use? You said you did 4 different things today. So is it based on the conditions, or, was it pretty much just a perfect day to do anything?
Well, it's just based on the conditions mostly. I'll get up there and just even kind of just eyeball the lineup and see what's best for. And, this morning we got up there and it was a little smaller. Nobody was out. I hadn't tow surfed out at Jaws in a really long time, and there was really big lulls, but occasionally there would be a really big one. So I was like, all right, this is good for towing because no one's out, so I can go tow surfing. But then, in between sets, I'll just sit on the jet ski and talk to my uncle Victor Lopez and, just chat it up with him. And when a big one comes, I'll jump in the water and we'll get it.
Yeah.
And it was a good way to warm up.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, the wind picked up, and I was like, all right, it's great for windsurfing. So I went and got a few waves of windsurfing. Ended up having a wipeout and breaking some of my gear, so I was done with windsurfing. But then, the wind started back down, perfect timing. Grabbed my stand-up paddleboard and got, 6 of the best waves and broke my board on the last one. So I went back and grabbed my surfboard and got a couple great surf waves, and actually got really pounded on my last wave and really tweaked my ankle super bad, almost to the point where I was like, I'm not going out tomorrow because I can't even, my ankle was just shooting pain. It felt like someone was stabbed me in the foot with a knife. I just figure wrap it up, take ibuprofen, because, if I go out tomorrow and get some great waves, then I have a whole week to recover before the next swell.
Yeah. Why don't you take us through some of your safety equipment? We're in his surfboard garage.
One of the surf garages.
One of them.
I have them sprawled around the island.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so we're going to come and take a look. So what have we got here? Explain to us, to all the people that don't really understand big wave surfing, what's the equipment you need?
Well, the equipment you need to go out to Jaws depends what you're doing. If you're just paddling traditionally, you would just have these kind of standard guns, which they're actually very progressive. The shapes have come a long way to ride Jaws. But, you're going to need some really good fins and some custom fins for Piahi. But it's actually interesting because everything that we ride out there is specifically for the spot. You can have boards that you can take anywhere in the world and ride them in multiple conditions. But for Jaws, it's so particular and it's such a unique wave and it's so gnarly that you actually have equipment developed just for that spot, for when it happens. And so these right here are developed solely to use at Jaws. I can use it everywhere else as well, but they're meant for Jaws, and that includes, these razor sharp fins, but the sharper they are, the faster you're going to go. So it's a risk. It's an inherent risk, why would you have some safety fins if you're riding a 50-foot wave,
Right.
that's barreling? I mean, you might as well have the best, because if you fall, it's all going to, poop's going to hit the fan, whatever you want to call it, right? And
That's a good point, that I don't think people really realize you have to go faster.
yeah, I mean, people ask, why do you have your fins so sharp? You cut your foot and have them. I'm like, well, that just comes with the risk. Something else could have happened getting sucked over the falls. Why not give yourself the ultimate advantage to make it? And so I'm really stoked on my equipment. I trust it, obviously, with my life. So you kind of have to. You have to. There's a certain sense of kind of just letting go when you're out there, because when you go on the wave, Mother Nature is kind of in control, and you can do everything you can to make the wave and to survive. But at the end of the day, you're trusting what's under your feet. You're trusting your safety crew, which is super important.
You also have a vest.
Yeah, and so basically we have these inflatable vests, which are game changer. I don't think you'd see the waves being ridden like they are now without these kind of developments to save you in big wave surfing. I mean, for example, this is a CO2 cartridge, just standard. It's like a bike tire CO2 cartridge that you'd even just keep in, a little pocket in case you get a flat.
Yeah.
But we have 4 of these, and they're actually on this neoprene vest with an airbag in it, just like as if you were to look under the seat of your airplane when you're flying commercially or whatever. that is exactly what you would wear for out there. And it's really cool because we have, 2 in the front and 2 in the back. And it gives you the ability to wipe out on a really, really big wave and have something to think about, most importantly. But then when you pull it, nothing is going to come to the surface faster than air. And if you're attached to it, it's going to bring you to the surface quick.
Have you done it before?
Oh, I've done it so many times I can't even count, because if you're going for a really big wave out there and you're trying to push either your personal limits or the limits of big wave surfing, typically if you wipe out, it'll send you to the bottom of the ocean. And why not pull it? Because it's going to save energy and you're going to be able to just keep going. And that's what I really like about it. It doesn't only just bring you to the surface quicker, but it allows you to, I guess, spend more time out in the lineup rather than, most of the time if you have to swim up on your own, you may be done for the whole day, just absolutely smoked. But with this, it's like basically getting a free ride back, to the surface.
Yeah. Okay, you want to show us the jet ski? And
Sure.
I mean, he's all ready to go tomorrow, guys, so he's going to show us what he's got.
Yeah.
All right, so here's the ski, so some of your stuff that's set up for tomorrow.
Yeah, so the stuff you saw in my garage is basically just kind of my backup boards or boards for different kind of conditions. But this is the stuff I'm taking. I have 2 lay-down guns. The other board that was in there, I'm going to grab my stand-up paddleboard and put it in there because I broke one, obviously, today. And got my jet ski here, but then also got some tow boards. And this is actually one of the safety devices we use, which is, it's a typical wetsuit, but what it has is padding or EVA foam implemented inside. So if you get knocked unconscious and you can't pull your inflatable suit, you'll still come to the surface. And then also it's good for impact, because when you get hit by either your board or the wave, it will hopefully absorb more of the impact than just, going directly to your skin or body.
Let's go back to the surf, what'd you call it? Surf garage?
Surf garage, yeah.
And we'll finish up our interview.
Boardroom.
All right, so we just saw all of the safety equipment, and you have a safety team, and it's important that you have all of that stuff because, it doesn't always align just perfectly. So I know people are wondering, what's the biggest wipeout you've ever had?
Well, the biggest wipeout I've had, it's funny because back when we were tow surfing mostly out there on these big swells, and windsurfing stuff, the times that you fall are far less than when you're paddle surfing or stand-up paddling, because the chances of you getting caught inside or taking off too deep, the boards don't go as quick as a tow board, so it goes up a lot. And usually I'll wipe out maybe 2 or 3 times per session, just because myself trying to push my personal limits into these bigger and bigger waves. And unfortunately, when you pull into a barrel, sometimes you can't make it out. And, I've definitely had some really, really good wipeouts. I mean, today I got absolutely pounded a couple times, but I think my worst one, which put me out of the water for close to a month, was when I cut my foot in half because my fin went right between my toes, kind of my index toe and my middle toe, and it just went right through basically about that deep. You can see right about that deep and about that wide. And my foot was spread so much that when I held it up, I could see the helicopter through it. And fortunately, it missed every tendon, ligament, and nerve ending in my foot. So if I've actually stubbed my toe and it's hurt more than that injury, which is bizarre because it just looked awful, but it didn't hurt. So I was relinquished to a boot for close to a month.
I want to know how you started. So how young were you? When did you get into your head that you wanted to go surf Jaws? And maybe talk about some of your mentors.
Yeah, so I was so fortunate to be born here on Maui. It's the greatest place on earth to do all these sports, right? And so fortunately, my parents were avid water people. They love to surf and windsurf and any water sport, really. And so I think I really didn't have a choice to go down to the beach. I had the options of sitting in the sand, playing in the sand, or going in the ocean, playing in the water. So obviously I chose going in the water because I don't really like sand that much. And then, I was surrounded by these figures who were pushing the limits of big wave surfing right before my eyes, especially, right when I was born, actually, they started surfing Jaws. And so my entire life I've watched the evolution of people riding Piahi and people, approaching it from all these different ways with these different equipment. But then my parents already knew them. And so growing up, I had these mentors like Laird Hamilton, Dave Kalama, Jerry Lopez, Derek Dorner, Robbie Nash. I mean, the list goes on and on. This was and still is a mecca for so many different sports. And so it was a great place for me to be mentored and to be brought up for what I'm doing now.
Lucky guy.
Yeah, very lucky. I'd say it's like maybe 1 in a billion chance that I was born in this side of the world to this family to wherever. But it's really cool now because there's just so many awesome athletes coming out of Maui that are, inspiring the next generation. And it's crazy because just down where I live by Sugar Cove here in Paia on the North Shore, there's just so many kids, like 20 kids will be out boogie boarding. You could just see it in their eyes that in 10 years they're going to be out there with me out at Jaws. You could just tell that's what they want. I mean, guaranteed they were all up on the cliff today. They asked to play hooky from school or whatever, and that's what I did. Were you that kid? I was that kid. Every swell, it was like, and the coolest thing was, I think the teachers here understand because whenever it was like our snow day. Jaws is happening. It's like snow day. I want to go, and fortunately, all my teachers at Montessori were just so supportive and were like, yeah, because they all knew, I think, that that's what I want to do, especially since I was just drawing on paper of big waves and all my favorite, and wouldn't shut up about it.
Speaking of school, the first time you surfed Jaws was, you were a teenager. You were still in school.
Yeah, I was 16 when I first went up to Jaws, and I really took my time to go up there. I for sure wanted to go up there sooner. But I waited for the blessing from the uncles, Dave and Laird and Robbie, until they thought I was ready. And one day I just got a call from Dave saying, hey, me and Laird are going up to Jaws. Do you want to come up and, ride some foil boards? And I was like, of course. And I told my parents, and I think we were off to breakfast with some friends. And they dropped me off at Baldwin. We grabbed my jet ski, or my parents' jet ski, and basically met them and went up there. And it's just such a classic story because the first time I ever rode Jaws was probably on the hardest equipment to ride Jaws. Foiling is really gnarly. You're strapped to an anchor, and if you wipe out, there's a good chance you're going to break both your legs because you have a sea anchor and you're in snowboard boots. And so to survive and successfully ride, not the biggest Jaws, but, decent sized waves, was just absolutely phenomenal and so exciting. And I think that it just spun out from there. It was just, the roller coaster, whatever you want to call it, snowball effect. I think that was at the end of March when that happened. And by the next winter, I was out there tow surfing with them. And, it's just been getting a little bit gnarlier and progressive each time. And yeah, it's going to be interesting. I have no idea. Hopefully I make it as far as 10 years, but in 10 years, I'm pretty excited to see what I'll be able to do out there because each session I'm pushing myself harder and doing more and more things.
So are we. We're excited to see what you do. Yeah. So speaking of, you're talking about the Groms, we are actually going to do a giveaway, and Kai has agreed to have one of you Groms spend a day with him, and he'll take you around. You'll get to train with him, surf with him, whatever it is he does during the day. And that should be really fun. So make sure you guys watch out for that. That's coming up in the next few weeks, and we'll post it on our Facebook page. But we could talk to you all night, Kai. I mean, I know you are probably exhausted from an entire day surfing at Jaws Peahi. He was up with the sun. Actually, before the sun, probably, huh?
Yeah, always before. But I think tomorrow's going to be another big day. It'll probably be an all-day affair, and hopefully there won't be a few waves to ride, the next days after that because I'll probably need a little rest.
Thank you so much for inviting us into your home. For Maui Now, I'm Malika Dudley. Ahui ho.